Alabama's week 1 loss has fans panicking about recruiting. I'm going to tell you why you don't need to worry yet. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. 3, 2, let's go. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome to your favorite Alabama Talk here on YouTube. Thanks for sticking around. If you found me, go ahead and like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a big old roll tide down in the comment section below. Let me know. Let me hear you. Be loud and proud. I get it. Everybody's antsy. Everybody's panicking. Hold on. Slow down. Take a deep breath with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, in. Exhale. Better? Better. Let's talk Alabama recruiting. You guys love talking Alabama recruiting. After the showing at FSU last week, it did not take long for fans to panic about Alabama's recruiting class. I get it. You're justified. It's understandable, right? But I feel, and I am of the thought, this is my thought, that folks are thinking about recruiting, this new age recruiting, in the wrong way. Okay? Couple of things. We're gonna get to them. First and foremost, let's talk about Courtney Morgan. A little over a year ago, everybody was extremely excited when they saw him get off the plane with Kalen DeBoer because they knew that he had built championship caliber rosters at places like Washington and Michigan, and that he could easily do that at Alabama with the resources. Now there's tons of talk about how Alabama is competitive with NIL. Are they broke? Are they not broke? Alabama's not broke. They're very competitive with their NIL. However, we talked about this before, they don't have an endless supply of money. Okay? We're not talking about Texas or Oregon here. We're talking about Alabama. Now, you lose the Saban discount, right? You better believe Courtney Morgan knows how to manage this. And I think that he is doing it correctly. I think that the way he is spending in terms of value versus quantity is going to suit Alabama in the long run. Alabama has done what we've seen in their recruiting classes, a really good job of talent evaluation. Now, that talent evaluation may not be what I'm used to with Nick Saban. It may not be what you're used to with Nick Saban, but keep in mind right now, Alabama has 5-star commits. Okay. They are going to push for a couple of more, maybe not 5 stars, but a couple more commits before they finish this class. They will not finish with 30 plus because they're being smart with their NIL. Courtney Morgan came out before the summer, tweeted it out. 3 simple words: quality over quantity. Okay. Now, quantity builds depth. That is something that is a major concern for Alabama football moving forward, but the roster has had retention through the portal in the spring. Now, with the news yesterday, it is likely that college sports will move, or football will move, to a 1 portal season. Mr. Portal will be extremely happy. If you don't know who I'm talking about, watch our lives. He'll be extremely happy because I know he gets exhausted with the 2 portal openings every year. With that, it should be easier for Alabama to retain talent that they're paying, right? We're not overcrowding position groups, so guys are bouncing here and there. They're sticking. Look at Alabama's running back room right now. Okay, it's the deepest in the country. I know that didn't. Again, the purposes for all this is, yes, Alabama looked terrible on Saturday at FSU. I know that. You know that. We're turning the page. Okay. In terms of recruiting right now, and let's assume worst case scenario right now for Alabama. Let's assume that what we saw Saturday is an accurate reflection of this team. I don't think it is, but let's assume that that's the case, and Alabama goes 6-6, right? just complete catastrophe disaster. However, they retain Kane Womack, or excuse me, not Kane Womack, Kalen DeBoer, but potentially fire the DC, which seems to be a common thought amongst fans. Alabama, I think, would retain a lot of their roster still for several reasons, not just their roster, their recruiting class. First and foremost, everybody there, everybody in that locker room, all these recruits, what we have heard is how it feels comfortable. It feels at home. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, however you're looking at it. I know there's going to be comments, people going, well, they feel comfortable because they're being babied and catered to. And maybe that's the case. But hopefully, if that is the case, one day talent will win out. We'll see. But so there's a level of comfortability. Plus, there's deals in place with a lot of these folks. Now, Alabama has a stacked wide receiving room. They have a stacked running back room. So I would not be surprised to see some of these folks leave. I think, as NIL got kind of started and running and rolling, you started to see folks leave Bama. Nick Saban's 2022 recruiting class, there's only 3 of those guys left. A couple of them are in the NFL, but especially the wide receiver position, Alabama's had a ton of turnover there on the offensive line. You've got folks playing all over the country this year that used to be at Alabama. That is a point of emphasis, obviously, for Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan, is to get the talent that's going to stay on campus. They proved that they could do that with the whole Jalen Mbakwe fiasco. Now, I think that could be a guy Alabama could potentially lose once portal opens again, but we'll see. Okay, we'll see. Something else to kind of consider in terms of recruiting, we are in a new age of college football recruiting. A lot of us have the modern mindset, not the modern, we'll say old school mindset of college football recruiting and what that looked like. It's changed. It's changed a lot. And if you don't believe me, look at what Texas Tech is doing right now in their 2027 class. I think that they have like 4 or 5-star commits. They've got another one that's going to commit soon. How are they doing that? Well, they're doing it leveraging NIL. Okay. They're a oil school. They're in Texas. They've got what they need to bring in talent. Alabama's doing the same thing as long as the state keeps producing talent. And some neighboring states, they're still having success going over into Georgia, having some success going over into Mississippi. I think they need to be more successful in the state of Florida. Nick Saban pulled a ton of talent out of Florida, and it really impacted schools like the University of Florida, Miami, FSU. They're starting to keep that talent at home. Alabama's got to get down there into that state and recruit better and start pulling some talent out of there. But the bigger point is more and more, each recruiting cycle, more and more players are less concerned with win-loss record, and they're as opposed to what their NIL packages look like. Now, win and loss records can impact NIL packages, right? Because fans are going to stop subscribing to EA Alabama. They're going to stop putting money into the program when, Bama goes 6-6 or doesn't make a bowl game or something. Again, worst case scenario is what we're talking about here. But as of right now, as it stands, Alabama in this class, the guys they have, I think that they have pretty good deals in place. They've got some wiggle room so that if they got it up a little bit to keep somebody from flipping, they can do that and at least get these guys on campus for a season and see how it rolls. I think what you're hearing out of the majority of these recruits, Sadarian Morgan, Xavier Crowell, Jira Edwards, like you got to remember a lot of these dudes, not all of the names I just named, but a lot of these dudes have shut down their recruitments. Xavier Griffin, a lot of them have committed to Alabama. They're shut down. They're not taking visits other places. I think that there could potentially be 1 or 2 guys in this class that flip out, but I don't think that has anything to do with what Alabama's doing right now. I think that they most likely were on the fence anyway. And you can probably guess who they are just by seeing who's gone and visited other places right now. Follow the visits, right? But as you know, you've got these kids, even after that showing last week, posting on social media I'm going to the crib this weekend. I'm going home this weekend. I've seen several of them, Max Sutter. And I've heard rumors about him flipping to Ohio State. We'll see. But, I mean, he's literally talking about he's going to be at home this weekend. Sedarian Morgan, Xavier Crowell. And a lot of these guys are coming in because they already have a developed relationship with the kids that are there, especially guys like the future of the Tide, guys like Latsier Brooks, Keelan Russell, right, Dijon Lee, Justin Hill, A.K. Deer, right? So they're going to be recruiting that next group. And again, we've heard the same thing from so many people about the culture. Nick Saban even talked about it. This is why I have a hard time believing that what we saw from Alabama last weekend is actually who they are. Because everybody that's been around and inside of that program has walked away and said the same thing about how positive the culture is and how conducive it is to this team being really, really good. So I have a hard time. I'm cautiously optimistic about it because I don't want to blow smoke up anybody's skirt, but I also feel like you have that many people saying that many positive things. I mean, are they all blind? Or are they all right? I guess. And last weekend was kind of I don't want to say a fluke because they definitely got embarrassed the way they played, but that's not a testament to who they are and how good they are. And we're going to see improvement as the season goes on. I think that is absolutely a possibility. And obviously that will help recruiting. But in terms of what Alabama has right now, I really do think a lot of these guys are locked in. Now that could change. If Oregon, Ohio State, somebody comes in at the last minute throwing around big bags of money, that happens. You got Ole Miss starting to surge a little bit on the recruiting trail. You better believe Lane Kiffin's going to go after some of that talent. But I think the staff has worked really hard on those relationships, and they've talked about it. Kirby Smart does the same thing. They talk about the relationships over transactions, and because that's really what's going to keep when crap hits the fan, that's really what's going to keep the kid committed and wanting to come in. Like having that guy that feels like, an uncle or family or your brother. There's some of these kids who are already know who they're going to room with and stuff. I'm not super concerned about Alabama's recruiting class yet. Now, again, I say yet because things are fluid in recruiting. That is something I need to really drive home with you guys. Just because I say it, just because I think it, just because a recruit says it, just because you hear it from On3, just because you hear it from Rivals, 247, doesn't mean that it won't and can't change. It absolutely can. This is again, new age recruiting. We're not talking about 15 years ago where everybody just wanted to go to Alabama because, it was Bama, right? Now there's incentive for them to go other places, right? Okay. You also have to realize that kids like Alabama still has an extremely talented roster, one of the most talented rosters in the country. Kids nowadays are going to look at that and go, I don't want to compete for a starting job. Right. That's kind of the difference, I think, in the toughness of this team. A few years ago, you had guys who were coming into, a linebacking room knowing that they weren't going to play for 2 years, but they wanted to be at Bama so bad, they were willing to compete as hard as they could for a starting spot over guys like, Reggie Ragland, CJ Mosley, Reuben Foster. They're willing to compete against those guys for a starting spot, and it made them better. Iron sharpens iron. Jet Thamala was on the show with us, 4-star quarterback, and he said that. He's like, this is why I want to go to Alabama. That quarterback room is loaded, and I want to compete against those guys because it's going to make me a better player. This is why when guys got their start, when they got their opportunity, there wasn't a lot of drop-off. Okay? And it forged them to be more accountable, tougher, faster, stronger. And I think some of that's lacking at Alabama right now. But I do think that if I can see it, Kalen DeBoer, Courtney Morgan can see it as well. And it's absolutely being addressed. So take a breather on the recruiting stuff. I would definitely take a breather on posting. Well, we're going to lose all our recruits on social media. If I'm a recruit coming out of high school and I see my fan base that I'm committed to talking like that, yeah, I'm going to have second thoughts. I'm not saying that you got to sprinkle unicorn dust over a turd and call it a cupcake, but I mean, there's got to be a line, right? There's got to be a line. So we can all do better, myself included. So thanks for sticking around with me. I hope I put some of your concerns to bed. We got a big live show coming up tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time. Be there. We're going to preview this weekend's games. I'll go ahead and tell you a lot of cupcakes this weekend. Lots of them. It'll be like that for the next couple of weeks. You know how that works till people start getting into conference play. But do me a favor really quick. When you're done here, go over to our website, wayoffsides.com. How many A's is it, Skip?
Way, this is all caps, WAAAAY, way.
Thank you, Skip. Check is in the mail. But you can go over to wayoffsides.com. You're going to get a pop-up. Put in your email address. We will be sending out blog articles. Bill's going to be writing some blogs soon. Videos, merchandise, news, breaking news, recruiting news, thoughts to you, straight to your inbox. You can also hit the notification bell here on YouTube after you subscribe and say Roll Tide to me in the comments. And anytime we go live, post a video or a short, you will get it. Follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X. That's where we're most active. Thanks for sticking around with me. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, folks. Boom, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU. Tennessee, LSU and Tennessee too. I messed it up. Sorry, my brain went crazy. I love you. It's going to be okay. I'm here for you. Roll Tide.